Hi everybody, welcome to the next episode of our beautiful Living Jewels. What we're going to do today is we're going to concentrate on three aspects. First of all, on Did You Know? We're going to have some Did You Know facts, and then we're also going to speak about the most important part of the season for the koi fish, which is spring, and how do we cope with it and how do we manage it. And then what we're going to do as well is, because of the COVID period that we've had and social distancing and not being able to visit ponds, in other words, pond safaris, what we've done is we've done a series of film clips which we're going to share with you during this episode and show you the different koi ponds that there are. Often when I started this beautiful hobby, I wanted to see different koi ponds to get an idea of what personality of koi pond I would want in my garden that would suit my garden. So let's start from there and we'll have a good look. Right, the question often is asked, do koi fish have teeth? And yes, they do. So here is an example that I have of fish teeth. So now, of course, they don't have fangs, they don't have canines, but what they do is they have molars in the back of their mouth, and that is to crush the food that they eat. Remember, koi fish are omnivorous, so they'll eat a meat substance and they'll also eat a vegetable substance. But with the result is I wanted to show you in detail what a koi tooth looks like. And sometimes what you'll do is you'll find in your filter, your pump filter, you'll find these little teeth. And people have often wondered. So to answer the question, koi do have teeth. Right, as we have moved out of winter and everything is hibernated in the pond, we now move into spring. Now spring is the beginning of an active time for a koi keeper. In other words, this is where everything comes alive. Your koi fish have stopped hibernating. They are now starting as the water warms up. With the warm sunny days and cold nights during spring, sometimes even frosty, so we still got that cold spell. And what we're saying out of that is that water takes longer to warm than air or land. Water is more constant once it starts, its temperature is more constant than air. With spring, it's the most hazardous season of the year for koi. In other words, everything comes alive in the pond as the temperature rises. Koi fish are ectothermic, which means they have little ability to maintain a constant body temperature. Normally the body temperature is slightly above water temperature, which means then that during this process, koi's immune system was compromised or hibernating, if you like, during the winter period. And now, of course, we now gearing ourselves up not only for the pond itself with the bacteria and so forth, the good bacteria that is, but also with the koi's immune system. This is where we start building the koi immune system and feed them the right nutrition. The bacteria and protozoa that are in the pond, that should be in the pond, will start coming alive and they will start multiplying. So this is the particular time where we're going to start looking at a couple of things. We're going to, normally this time of the year is perfect to do what we call spring medication treatment. So basically there are a couple of categories that we are going to be looking at. First of all, a season checklist. Pond management. Make sure that your water is clean. In other words, from the winter, all the leaves and twigs that have fallen in, bottom drains to be cleaned out, UV lights to be checked. They must be changed once a year. And then also your filters. And remember now, with everything, your filters have also gone into somewhat of a hibernation phase, meaning that even though you have a mature pond system or a mature filter system, it would also mean that your filter needs to be started up again. With new ponds, of course, this is part of what they call a new pond syndrome, where your biobacteria starts to activate, and it takes quite a process. So whether it's a new pond or a mature pond, the same will be applying, where you need to put various filter start media and bacteria in to start the process again. Then of course your water quality, very, very important to have a look at your water quality so that you can start building up the water. With that, your oxygenation, have a look at your air systems. Lots of oxygen now will start the ecosystem of the pond back into summer in its full bloom. What you'll also do is your water plants will start growing, and that would also start helping with your filtration systems. Feeding, this is the time where you're going to be starting to look at your feeding so that you can either bulk up the fish, you can also build up the immune system, and moving towards summer. The healthcare, now because fish have been hibernating for such a while, most ponds have not been enjoyed by where the hobbyist has studied each fish and looked at the health. This is the time where you have a look at your koi fish and see if there is any medical treatment that needs to be done with the fish. Because remember, you now have had parasites and bacteria that have been hibernating, and now they're going to start multiplying. So microscope analysis is important during this phase to already start taking a proactive measure. So let's have a look a little bit at the nitrogen cycle and what it means. The nitrogen cycle is really there to recycle waste, and it basically works in two stages. Koi produce ammonia as waste. Nitrosomonas and other bacteria increase in response to the increase of ammonia to convert that into nitrite. Now nitrite is basically a poison and is responsible for more mysterious diseases and deaths than anything else in your koi pond. So that is very important to understand that. Then your nitrobacter, they start to multiply and change this lethal byproduct and change it into nitrate. And that is often where we commonly say that the nitrate is a liquid compost. So it's important to have that balance. If you have too much nitrate, you can also have a problem. Towards 80 parts per million, 100 parts per million and above, one needs to be very careful. That is the reason why you go through, as I said just now, a full checklist on your filtration and everything else. Okay, now that we've discussed the first two elements of the episode, let's now go and take a walk through and do a pond safari. Okay, here we come to a first pond, and as you can see, insects, birds and plants, plant filtration, very important aspect of keeping your water good. You can see the dynamics of the pond, the shape, and also waterfall. A water feature creating oxygen is important. Here's another example of a rock pond that is creating the cascading of and the sound of water. Each rock water feature is almost like a speaker that resonates the sound towards the hobbyist, and where we are standing right now. Then of course, you've got some water plants on the right hand side, and you're looking at the oxygenation. Here's another example of oxygenation. You can either have the foamer, or you can have a nice longer waterfall, as you see the beautiful oxygen that it's being generated. The more oxygen in the pond, the more good bacteria that grows, and the healthier your pond. And of course, you can never have enough oxygen in pond. Of course, if you don't have that, you can have a venturi, and that's how it works, giving similar effect. This is to show on the side of a healthy pond the good bacteria. So please do not get anyone to scrape it off. It's not like a swimming pool. That biobacteria needs to be there. Here's another simple example of a pond that has beauty in simplicity. And again, the water feature creating lots of oxygen. There in the top you'll see that there's an air stone that is creating air. What you have here is now with the season changing. Remember, we're discussing from spring to summer. Of course, the winter leaves now have been cut down. There's a very good example of that. And again, you've either got a foamer in the center of the pond or a feature that creates oxygen, or you have a waterfall. Some of the water plants are hardier than others, but others, some of them need to be cut down and then they will regrow for filtration. Very, very important. This particular pond was totally green until these water plants were introduced. Here's another example of nature embracing the pond. You'll get a lot of bird life and you'll enjoy the insect life as well as we're now moving towards spring. Of course, the rock feature, and then of course your oxygenation coming through and cascading, and the beautiful sound of water that we always enjoy. Here's another example of the entrance of a house that has the foamers, and again creating a simplicity of design together with a movement of water. Remember, a pond can be designed in any different format as long as the water has the freedom to flow properly and that there's a bottom drain that sucks from the bottom and filtrates. Here's another example of an entrance and a walkway going through, and on either side. The Venturi gives a very good example of lots of oxygen. The more oxygen, you cannot have too much oxygen in a pond. This is now a unique design where you have glass, and the fish, when the minute you come near the glass, the fish see you and they come right up to you, and it just creates a really, really nice other element to a koi pond if you can have that in your garden. Each koi pond is designed to fit in with your particular preference. Again, the fundamentals stay the same: bottom drain, proper filtration, UV light, and oxygenation. The pond's water must always look, it mustn't be stagnant, it must be lively, as we can see here. Look how the shimmer on the water. The water is lively. In other words, this pond is breathing properly. It is filtering properly, and there's enough oxygenation in the pond. Good example of foamers. Here is now a higher cascading of water, and on this particular square now, when it comes to summer, water plants will be added there to further enhance the quality of the water, taking out ammonia, and the plants take out nitrite and nitrate, especially nitrate being liquid compost. Again, on the simpler design, simple is beautiful. The Japanese always like the ease of flow of water, and that is another example. Good oxygenation. If you can't have venturis, you put air stones at the bottom. That creates really nice aeration for the fish, and that peace and tranquility. Again, see the shimmer on the water's moving. Here's an example, and also I want to just add that salt, too much salt is on this particular pond with the foaming. Also, one needs to have a look and make sure that the filtration is nice and clean. But a very advanced filtration design, but we're concentrating really on the look and feel of the koi pond as we're going through this pond safari. Really, really nice. Here is an example of, instead of the simplicity and having a peace and tranquil pond, just this is more rock base and more a rock pond. But notice how beautifully the layers of the stone and the rock creating a nice cascading sound of the water. Look how clean that water is. Here is more a simple design again, with a little bit of water cascading, but with a plant filtration and a venturi. The peace and tranquility. Again, the movement of water. You mustn't have stagnant water. That gives you an idea that the pond is not breathing properly. water plants. There are so many different water plants that are available, beautiful colors. And notice that the water plants are not plonked into the koi pond, because koi fish will pick at it, and it will also destroy or minimize the flow of the water. As you can see, the peace and tranquility that there is. This is another design, and in this particular instance, this pond had to be added with chemical for fish that have been transferred. So we don't normally do high chemicals in the middle of winter when it is extremely cold. But just for this example, so you're wondering why the color is different. But there again, something cute, something different, and a personal value that gets put in the pond with that little boy. Notice the shimmer of the water again. Water is not always good water when you can see through it like that. So one always needs to analyze the water as well. But look, this is now an indoor garden, koi garden, pond, and look how beautiful. It's a combination of a few ideas that have beautifully portrayed this pond. That is the oxygenation that is coming from a particular aeration system, and also with the glass. You can see the fish beautifully portrayed there. The shimmer of the water, the movement of the water. The pond is healthy, it's breathing properly, as I said. This is another example of people loving their garden so much that they put down some beautiful little trinkets to remind them how precious life is. And this is now a natural rock pond that is being built. So there you have it. We've taken you through a quick walk to have and enjoy the ponds that we have available in terms of this pond safari. And really it gives you an idea, and somebody that wants to build gives a very good idea of where you want to go. So spend a little bit of time in your garden before you build your pond, and have a look at all of these, and you'll quickly see the type of personality of pond that you want. But remember, the fundamentals remain the same. So right, that brings us to the end. And we, as you know, we're here at the Rasmus Boutique Hotel, and they open to the public and have some beautiful dinners and lunches and breakfasts. And also it's a venue facility for weddings and conferences and so forth. But an absolutely beautiful location. Most people love the outdoors here, and obviously to enjoy the koi fish as well. But let's go and have a look on the inside, and let's go and have a nice cup of coffee.